Thanks to BDI for sponsoring a portion of this video. I have spent considerable time thinking this over, and I think it's fair to say that this is the most frustrating TV I've ever reviewed. The reason it's so frustrating? This TV is incredibly good, except where it isn't. I'll explain. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and today I'm going to review for you the TCL Q7 TV. Now, by some measures, this TV is actually outstanding. And in fact, I think most folks are going to love it. But by some other measures, this TV is kind of a mess. And that is frustrating because it doesn't have to be. I am so close to saying this is probably the best TV for the most amount of people, but I just don't know if I can go there. Will I get there by the end of this review? Only one way to find out, so let's get into this. Reminder to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Your support is what makes it possible for me to do these reviews, and it is so much appreciated. Okay, now it's review time. Let's start with where the Q7 sits within TCL's TV lineup this year. It is TCL's second best TV for 2023, sitting just below the epic QM8 mini LED TV, of which I have done much rating. The Q7 is not a mini LED TV. It uses a standard LED backlight system with full array local dimming, but TCL has broken down the backlight into a pretty generous number of dimming zones. This 65-inch model has 160 local dimming zones, while the 75 and 85-inch variants are closer to 200 zones, according to TCL. Now, if we compare the Q7 to the Hisense competition, the U7K, which is a mini LED TV and is thus able to have a higher dimming zone count, and very much does, has about 384 zones. Of course, as I'm fond of pointing out in just about every TV review these days, it's not about the size of your backlights or how many dimming zones you've got, it's how you use them. The Sony X90L is a great example of a TV with a standard LED backlight system broken down into just 80 local dimming zones, half as many, and it looks outstanding. And as long as we're making comparisons, it's worth pointing out that the 65-inch Q7 has a street price of about $700, whereas the Hisense U7K goes for about $730, right in the same ballpark. For reference, the much more advanced TCL QM8 65-inch has a street price of $1,200. Now going forward, I'll not be comparing the TCL Q7 to the Hisense U7K anymore because I haven't tested the Hisense yet, but that is coming very soon. I will, however, do my best to describe the differences between the more expensive QM8 and the Q7 here to give some context to the value proposition of this TV. So at this point, you can probably already see the appeal of the Q7. It's $500 less than TCL's best model, but it has some very promising tech inside. On paper, it looks like the best value in TCL's TV lineup and possibly the best value in TV on the market right now. That's why I think so many average consumers just looking for a great TV at a great price are gonna end up looking at the Q7. But then there's the enthusiast crowd, who may want as much of that TCL QM8 goodness as they can get while saving a bunch of money. Maybe it's a second room TV, or maybe the budget is just a bit tight. The Q7 should be the answer, right? Well, maybe for those average consumers, sure, but I think enthusiasts are about to get let down, at least a little bit. Before I deliver some tough news, let me give a brief overview of what I like about the Q7. First is contrast. TCL is just killing it, in a good way, with the contrast on its TVs. They're prioritizing black levels, blooming and halo control, and high brightness, and as a result, the picture on TCL TVs like the Q7 has a lot of pop. And I gotta hand it to TCL, if you're gonna single out one element of picture quality to just dominate, contrast is it. Second, TCL's doing a solid job of making its TVs friendly and accessible to gamers. The Q7 has two HDMI 2.1 ports capable of up to 144 Hz at 4K or 1440p, or up to 240 Hz at 1080p. It supports VRR as well, and input lag is sufficiently low to earn an excellent score. Third, Google TV runs smoothly on this TV. Just remember to turn on the network standby function and then cast to the TV from your mobile device from all kinds of apps. It also supports AirPlay and HomeKit. I mean, as a smart TV, it's got a lot going for it. Fourth would be color. While the color performance is not perfect, as I'll dive into more later, in HDR, bright colors really leap off the screen, and I think that's going to impress a lot of folks. Overall, this TV is built to impress the average viewer with most content. Anything 1080p and higher, SDR or HDR, looks really good on this TV. Even with low bitrate content, this TV manages to somehow avoid too much macro blocking. Oddly, it seems like it's doing a better job at that task than the QM8, which I'm gonna have to check on that. That doesn't seem right. Still, I've been watching a lot of YouTube content, not all of it premium, and it's been looking really solid. Hey, so I'm gonna get you back to the video shortly, but I wanted to take a moment to tell you about some exciting news that I've actually hinted at in previous videos. BDI, which makes the gorgeous media consoles, lift-top coffee table, and laptop desk that we use daily here in the studio, is ready to expand into your bedroom. The new collection, called LINQ, is a suite of bedroom furniture that, just like BDI's living room furniture, features exquisite build quality, gorgeous looks, and genius design. Plus, it also hides some delightfully functional surprises. This uplink bed is my favorite, and you can bet I'm getting one. This LED accent lighting is fire. It's also got integrated AC and USB charging, and something I'm extremely excited about is the hideaway support legs, which are tucked back so there shall be no toe stubbing as you make the bed. Speaking of making the bed, you can configure it in several ways to support just about any kind of mattress, including adjusting the height of the bed. It's so smart. And of course, there are complementary pieces to fill out the rest of the bedroom as well, from the 22 and 28-inch nightstands with movable tops and built-in power management to a 5-drawer chest and a 6-drawer dresser that match perfectly. Guys, this is the good stuff, and the BDI bedroom sale is running right now, so act fast to take advantage of the current savings. You'll find a link to more info in the description below. Thanks again to BDI for their support of this channel. Okay, so far, so good. Very good, I would say. For the price, this TV appears to be one of the best values ever. But then, drill a bit deeper and we start noticing some flaws. At first, they're relatively minor, but they just grow from there. And that's where my Knit Nerd fam is gonna wind up disappointed, I think. Which brings us to that section I like to call Numbers for Knit Nerds. This is where I dive into the measurements I got on this TV to provide some objective basis for my analysis. If you don't know your knits from your armpits, that is just fine. Feel free to skip this section. Time code is down in the description. But if you're getting into TVs and want to learn more, stick with me. So I'm going to get right to it, and I'm not going to pull any punches here. The TCL Q7 has offered up some of the worst measurements I've seen in recent years. Not all of them now. Some are just fine, but the ones that are bad, they're pretty bad. We'll start with some basics. In SDR, I measured peak brightness at about 700 nits with the brightness setting maxed out. Out of the box, the brightness setting is at about 55 out of 100, and that will get you about 400 nits of brightness, which is very respectable. You can, of course, dial this down. I would suggest 30 for a dark room if you want to see the content closer to what was intended by the creator. Then in HDR, using either the movie mode or the IMAX mode, peak brightness maxed out at just shy of, well, it was between 1,000 and 1,100 nits in the variable window size test. I got a fair amount of variance each of the 5 times I measured before calibration, but in the sustained peak brightness test, that number came in reliably around 750 nits. And when I used the Spears and Munsell pattern designed to get around any cheating that the TV may employ when it sees test patterns, that number held steady at around 700 nits, meaning peak highlights will have a good amount of punch and sparkle. Moreover, though, the average picture level was quite bright for a TV of this price. Now, all of this is good news for the average consumer just looking for a great-looking TV at a great price. But the white balance, you guys, oh sweet mother of pearl, the white balance. It's possibly the worst I've ever seen from any TV. Now, as a reminder, any delta E of 3 or less is considered unperceivable to the human eye. And I'll give a passing grade for a TV of this price if it comes in at about 6 or under, though I'm not going to be in love with that. But folks, out of the box, this TV had an average delta E of 7.5, with the most egregious errors, where it counts the most, at between 10 and 11. Now, look, I understand if you get a chuckle out of me being all aghast as I delve into some of the nerdiest TV analytics ever. But seriously, guys, that is not good. And while a 2-point white balance calibration took care of the brightest whites, all the grayscale in the middle remained at a delta E of 4 or higher. And near as I can tell, the 20-point white balance controls are, well, I'll use the word ineffective, but some might call them just straight up broken. As for color, well, in terms of accuracy, the results weren't as bad as the grayscale, but the news there isn't rosy either. I saw errors all over the place, and getting them corrected in the CMS, or color management system, would probably take a lot of work. So this is not good news for enthusiasts who value accuracy and adherence to creator intent. In order for this TV's performance to get closer to what we'd consider accurate, you'd need to hire a calibrator, and that could cost as much as $500 for a proper calibration. Folks, that's almost the price of the 65-inch TV itself. Never mind that it would raise your total investment to about the same price as the 65-inch QM8. So if accuracy is what you're after, don't expect to get close with the less expensive Q7, just buy a TCL Q7. And for me, that's frustrating because it shouldn't be this way. And to be clear, I went out and checked some other reviews to see if their out-of-box measurements were close to mine. And on the grayscale at least, the measurements I got are in lockstep with other publications. No, I think that's just how this TV is. And I don't get why. I'm thinking back to some of TCL's 5 Series TVs, and they had better grayscale and color accuracy measurements than this TV. It's just so close to being a Videophile's budget darling, but not as it is now. Now, all of that information was primarily for enthusiasts. I don't think the average viewer is going to be bothered too much by the inaccurate grayscale and scattershot color accuracy, although some of you might notice the white doesn't look pure white. There's a magenta hue happening that some average viewers might catch. I also happen to get a TCL Q7 with really good screen uniformity, just the tiniest bit of vignetting in the upper left and right corners. Anti-glare is just okay, but the TV gets bright enough that I don't think most folks will be too bothered with reflections. But there are a couple of things I think average consumers might catch. One, this TV doesn't do a spectacular job at upscaling low resolution content. It's not terrible, but it's not doing as good a cleanup job to cable TV and low-res streaming TV content as some slightly more expensive TVs. And two, 24 frame per second content like movies shows a fair amount of stutter. If you don't ever watch 24 FPS movies, or if you like to use motion smoothing, then that's nothing to worry about. Its motion resolution at 60 frames per second is like perfect. But if you watch a lot of movies in their native frame rate of 24 frames per second, you'll see some stutter. There's no judder issues. The TV offers judder-free performance, but stutter, where it holds on to one of those 24 frames just a bit longer than it should, you'll see that. Again, if you're not super sensitive to that sort of thing, then I think you'll love the Q7. But if you are, you might want to pass on this one. So, at risk of repeating myself, for all you non-videophiles or non-video enthusiasts, the Q7 delivers a lot of wow factor. In fact, if you get it and start watching it, you might think, man, that Caleb guy sure was going on about nothing. This TV looks great. I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised if that's how you felt. But the hardest thing about me doing TV reviews is that I know I have a fairly significant crowd of enthusiasts watching. And for y'all, you just need to know accuracy is not this TV's bag. Oh, and also the backlight is a little sluggish. That might bother you too. So, it's a mixed bag, depending on who you are. I've made this evaluation as fair as possible. I think most folks will love this TV, but for those of you with a keen eye, stick to the TCL Q7. It's worth saving a little bit longer. Thanks as always for watching, everyone. What did you think of this review? It's a bit different for me. Also, golden sample? Nope. Let me hear from you down in the comments. I can't wait to chat with you. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. And until then, here's 2 other videos I think you might like.